I loved a question actually that I got in person the other day. I was giving a speech at a Stern alumni event. Stern is really active with its alumni, and there's a group called Stern 10. These are all the Stern graduates who have graduated in the past 10 years. Thus the name Stern 10. That's very clever, wouldn't you say? And we had an event at the Chelsea Hotel in New York, which is very chic. When I go into a place like the Chelsea Hotel and I see all these people like having drinks and fabulous lives, I think I've just kind of completely missed the boat on it because typically I'm just home with my dogs. But anyway, they all look like they were having fun. And we had this fabulous event there for 5 minutes. I felt cool. And so I gave a talk. I was interviewed by a Stern alumni, a great guy who's in business. And then afterwards, I talked to a lot of people who waited in line to have sort of personal questions with me. I dig that so much. And one of the people came up to me and said, you know, you talk a lot about how important it is to stay relevant. And I actually have a line about this. It's your currency is your currency. Let me unpack it. Your currency, how much you're worth, is your currency. Little play on words, kind of like how current you are. Your currency is your currency. This is so true. And actually, a boss taught this to my daughter really early on in her career. And I thought that boss is so smart and looking out for you so much, because what they were saying is stay in the conversation, know what's going on in the industry, know what's going on in the company. Don't drop out. Be really curious about everything going on so that you're making other people smarter, so that when they say X company is buying Y company, you're not like, really? What does that mean for us? You're already ahead of the conversation. And for some people, this kind of curiosity and desire to stay relevant is incredibly natural. Like my husband, Jack, when he would wake up in the morning, he would read 8 newspapers. He would devour them. He's had like hunger for new ideas and information. He would read all the columnists. It's proven strongly by social science that curiosity is your level of curiosity is a pretty inborn trait. But that doesn't mean you can't hone it or you can't increase it. But usually, we sort of fall to type. And I've definitely seen, I'm about to say something. Thank God my children won't listen to this podcast because they'd kill me if I heard this. But I have 4 children, and there's so much difference in their curiosity levels. If a bomb dropped in the backyard, one of them would like go out immediately and like try to find out what the bomb was made of and wonder where it came from, and it would like obsess him for years to come. And literally, I have another child who would like not even ask, what was that noise? Okay, she would just be onto her own thing. And this is just inborn levels of curiosity. They're both spectacular people. Hey, I really, really love you. I'm sorry for everything I did wrong when you were children. Please forgive me. And but they're just different levels of curiosity. And so after I gave the speech at Stern, and I went on in my usual diatribe about like, your currency is your currency. Don't let your boss tell you something. Always be ahead. Be telling your boss something. Make your team smarter. Read everything. Read things that you disagree with. Watch everything. Figure out what the zeitgeist is. Be fully aware. It's exhausting. I know what I'm describing is utterly exhausting, but not for everybody. So somebody came up to me in line. He said, look, you talk a lot about it, but what if you're not naturally curious? I thought this was like such a fantastic self-aware question. Like, how awesome was it that this person was able to identify that this was not one of his natural traits? And then on top of that, utterly fantastic to be able to say, okay, how do I get better at it? Do you know how superhuman this is? Like, I just wanted to like give him massive props for that. And to know what you're not good at and then to inquire and try to figure out how to get better at it. I mean, you are so far ahead of the game with those kind of behaviors. Yay, person who asked me this question. So he asked, all right, look, I'm not naturally good at it. How do I get better at curiosity? So we talked about it. I, of course, said to him what I said earlier, which is a lot of this is inborn, but I have a bunch of hacks for it. So the first hack is to figure out what your natural curiosity level is. You probably kind of get it. You've seen yourself compared to other people and you think, gee, like my sister's really curious, but I am less so. And so one thing is kind of pinpoint where you are. And if you don't know and you're unsure, why don't you ask 5 or 6 people who really know you and just say, no judgment here. This is not a gotcha question. On a scale from 1 to 10, where would you put my curiosity compared to the most curious person you know? We all know somebody who's so curious, they're annoying, really annoying, okay? And I'm not saying that's a good thing, but I'm saying compare yourself to that person. So after you have self-awareness and say you find out, okay, you're kind of a 3 or you're a 4, this is when I would say you're kind of in the danger zone professionally if advancement matters to you. Because several things really matter when it comes to advancement. One is luck. Okay, let's put that aside because you can't control it. But then there's IQ. Guess what? Still matters how smart you are, how good your ideas are, just no working around it. Hard work can cover up for a lot of it, but not all of it. And then your EQ, your emotional intelligence really matters. At the end of the day, if you're a pompous asshat or just a jerk in general, it's going to catch up with you eventually. And then curiosity is right up there with those two. And I mean, there's research studies. I'm not going to, bore you with them, but they exist. Believe me, I've read them and seen them and written about them and so forth. So anyway, all right. Once you know how curious you are or not, the next step is to build a discipline around becoming more curious. And that's a little like weightlifting. It's a little like developing the muscles. So one thing I suggest is creating a watch list, like what you are doing to expand your knowledge of the world. And if you're not naturally chasing that information, you have to create a discipline around it. So that would be like developing a watch list. This week, I'm adding 3 things to my watch list. Okay, because everybody looks at something. Say you read The Skim every day or you read The Daily Beast every day. Each week, add 3 things that are going to give you new information. You're going to start reading X column. You're going to start following so-and-so on Twitter. You're going to start looking at this Instagram feed, this TikTok feed that just starts filling your head with new knowledge, okay? So that's one thing. Get a watch list and each week add 3 things to it. And this is a discipline. Only you can make you do it, okay? The second thing is this I think is unbelievably good hack in this front. And that's like each week, choose a country to learn about. There are so many cool countries. And if you just pick random countries and you just sort of do a deep dive, just spend a half an hour and do a deep dive on a country, you will learn so much about the economy and social movements and things going on in the zeitgeist. I still do this. I have some natural curiosity. I'm like really go deep into like countries in Africa and I suddenly will know a huge amount about them. And it just expands my mind about what's going on in the world. And I learn all sorts of things about, like this mineral is getting really big. And okay, it's just a hack, but do it by country. It's a really organized way to do it. And then the third one to do is to choose something that's in the news, a critical issue that's out there that every time people talk about it, you turn off, like fracking. Or like something around like electric cars, and just say like, I never listen to anything about it. I never talk about it. I never know about it. And I'm just going to figure out what it means. I'm just going to become an amateur expert in it. 15 minutes is all it takes really because of the beauty of the vast interweb. So person who asked me that question, I answered this for you when I saw you, but I just put that out there. Like curiosity, it just actually is a really, really important tool for success in life and in work. And curious people generally tend to be more interesting, which really helps even in relationships. I understand, though, that there's sort of an undercurrent to this question, which is that the world right now is like a fire hose of information and data and images and videos and noise coming at you right in your face. And it's a lot. And then the idea that somebody is sitting here on a podcast telling you to add more to that fire hose is kind of like, ugh, I don't want to do it. And I get it. I totally get it. But if you're a person who has as part of your #life goals to have an interesting, exciting, meaningful life, then you can't ignore the fact that curiosity is a huge part of that. All right. So that's the scoop with curiosity. Let me know write me if you disagree with me. I'd love to hear from you. At me, okay, about this. And that's the spiel. That's the question of the week. And that's the answer of the week from moi.